Okay, mighty companions, it's 1 o'clock and I'm going to start on time. I want to welcome everybody that's tuning into A Course in Miracles on Facebook Live. I'm Earl Purdy, and I am so glad to have an opportunity to share A Course in Miracles with you. And so hopefully as you watch this, you will share the video. We're going to be on page 216 in the text. 216 in the chapter 12, the Holy Spirit's curriculum, the loving mind's curriculum, on page 216 in the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles. And we're going to start with paragraph 7. We're going to start with paragraph 7. We're going to work through this. This is one of the most powerful chapters in this book. And I want to make sure that we take advantage of it. And that we hear what it's saying. Yes, 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 yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Happiness.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Uh-huh. It is cold.
Testing 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, we're going to be on chapter 12, the Holy Spirit's curriculum, on page 216 in the Course in Miracles. How's everybody feeling today?
Right.
Everybody's feeling good?
Infinite.
I'm the divine repetition teacher. I'm the divine remembering teacher. My function in doing the Course in Miracles is hopefully to get us to the point where we will hear what it's saying. The Course in Miracles says we don't need to believe it, right? We don't need to believe it. Right. We don't need to accept it. We don't need to welcome it. Some of it we may actively resist. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to overcome resistance. Like I said, in 40 years of working with the Course and working with people, I find that there are basically two types of people when it comes to the Course in Miracles, which is those who are ready for it and those who aren't. Mm-hmm. Right. And no amount of talking changes that. Either person's ready for it or they're not. And so you know where you are. And hopefully, because you're here today, that symbolizes that you really want it. One of my favorite lines in the Course in Miracles is that it says, your understanding isn't a powerful contribution to the truth. And doesn't make it what it is. Your understanding is not a powerful contribution to the truth. Your understanding is not a powerful contribution to the truth. What a statement. My understanding does not make it true or not. Your understanding it doesn't determine whether or not it's true. And it says, your interpretation of your brother's needs are your interpretation of yours.
Right.
In paragraph 7. So your interpretation of what you think I need is really what you need.
Right.
Whatever you say I need is what you need. Whatever you say somebody else needs is what you need.
Right.
Whatever you say somebody else needs is what you need. Whatever you say somebody else needs, that's what you need. Whatever you say somebody else needs, they need more compassion, they need more understanding, they need more patience. That's what your interpretation of your brother's need is your need. Now, what's interesting about studying the Course in Miracles is that it's not necessary to analyze it because it was saying earlier that we need to interpret everything as what? Love and a call for love. So everything is either love or call for love. Right. Everything is either love or appeal for help, according to the Course. So when it says your interpretation of your, and brother means equal. I also substitute some of the definitions that the Course in Miracles gives for the words in the Course in Miracles. The agreement I have with myself is I won't use a substitution that I'm making up. It will be a substitution that the Course itself uses. So if I give you an alternative meaning, it's not a meaning I am making up. It's a meaning that the Course itself says it is. So it says a brother is another term for equal. It's not talking about a man or a woman. So it's not talking about gender. When it says brother, it's talking about an equal. So the Course in Miracles says we're all equals. We're all equals. We're all equals. And so your interpretation of your equal's needs is your interpretation of your need. Well, if you are my equal, we do have the same needs, right? So the Course in Miracles says earlier that the need is for love or the need is for help. So my interpretation of your need, which is you need love, you need help, would be the interpretation of my need also, that I need love and I need help. Remember, the answers that you would be tempted to try to figure out in the course itself already defines that in the section you're studying. So there's no need to close the book and tilt back and go, now let me give my interpretation of what I just read. That is not the way. The way you get the course is to temporarily be willing to let go of your preconceptions of what you think it's saying, and then let yourself hear what the course is saying. So I'm going to either interpret that you need love and you need help, either you expressing love or you need help, because I am either expressing love or I need help. So it says, your interpretation of your brother's needs are your interpretation of yours, and do you know that by giving help, what are you doing? Asking for it. So if I really want to ask for help, then I need to give it. The universe believes that what you give is what you want to receive. So that means whatever I would like to receive, I need to give it. I remember that when I think I'm going through any kind of lack, financial lack, any kind of lack, well, that's what I need to give. So I try to be more generous when I think I'm lacking. I try to give more of what I think is missing in my experience. If I think friendliness is missing in my experience, I try to be more friendly. If I think love is missing in my experience, I try to be more loving. If I think abundance is missing, I try to give more. People who don't know the truth do just the opposite. They say they don't have, so they hold back even more, which reproduces even more lack. And so the Course says the only thing that can be missing in any situation is what you're not giving. So the only thing that's missing in any area of my life is what I'm not giving. Even if I think I'm giving it, if I think it's missing, I'm not giving it, because it's important. It's impossible that you not receive what you're really giving. It's impossible that you not receive what you're truly giving, which is different from what I believe I'm giving.
Right.
What I believe I'm giving might not be what I'm really giving. So by giving help, you're asking for help. And if you perceive but one need in yourself, you will be healed. Notice the end of that sentence said, you will be healed. So if you heard the end of a sentence says, you will be healed, wouldn't it be interesting to remember what it said?
What brings the healing?
Right, okay, if it says you will be healed, common sense would say, well, I need to hear that sentence again, because it says, if I do this, I'll be healed. So what is it that you need to do in order to be healed? You need to perceive but one need. And that's, most people don't tell you they have one need. Most people will tell you they got numerous needs. The Course in Miracles says if you see that you have one need, love, God, truth, then you'll be healed. So I only have one need. That's for love. That's for truth. That's for unity. That's for oneness. That's all the same thing. That's love. The only need you have is the need for love. The only need you have is the need for love. The only need you really have is the need for love. The only need you really have is the need for God, which is love. The only need, the one need, not two needs, not three needs, the one need that I have is love. I need love. There's nothing wrong with using the word need. And sometimes in New Thought circles, don't say need. Say need if that's the way you feel. Don't, you know what I'm saying? You can't talk based on what somebody else wants you to say.
That's right.
I can't talk to you based on the way you want me to talk. I'd have to be psychic to be able to know that.
Right.
All I can do is share things the way it's coming to me to share.
Right.
So if you want to shut somebody down from communicating with you, just start correcting them all the time, every time they say something to you. You'll wonder where all your friends went. You really will.
No one's talking to you.
Why? Because they don't need you to do your giant correcting, fixing everything they say. I've literally stopped people and said, look, if you keep correcting everything I say, you're totally innocent, but I'm going to stop talking to you. And we totally cool.
Yeah.
You know, they get insulted and get all defensive and everything. But I'm just telling them the truth. If you keep on correcting me, I'm not going to care to talk to you.
Right.
Just because I'm having a conversation with you don't mean I'm asking for your advice. It doesn't mean I'm asking for your viewpoint. It doesn't mean I'm asking for your wisdom. It doesn't mean I'm asking for your insight. But if you're busy learning something new and you're trying to convince yourself that it's true, that's when you'll be most prone to try to correct everybody around you, because you're trying to convince yourself. So I can tell when somebody hasn't really accepted the truth of something by how hard I see them trying to convince others of it. So I know when I'm talking to a newbie, because a newbie is going to be trying to fix and correct every single person they know around them. That's a baby. Because the Course in Miracles says only the ego tries to correct everybody else's error. Only the part of you that doesn't know the truth thinks you have to fix everybody. So the Course says, by giving help, you're asking for help. Then what do? Well, if you want to be healed, you see yourself as having what? One need. One need. One need. Well, you will recognize God's answer as you want it to be. Don't we do that all the time? All the time. Everybody's telling you what God's answer is, and it's usually what they want it to be. Really, when they tell you they're listening to the Holy Spirit and God telling them something, it's usually the person telling themselves something and then saying it's God. So I want that new car. I'm going to say, God said I should get a car. I want that new partner. I'm going to say, God wants me to have a soulmate. I'm gonna hear God's answer as I want it to be. Right? And then it says, next it says, and if you want the answer in truth, if you really want, I gotta tell people when I'm counseling, do you want me to say what you want to hear, or do you want me to really say to you what I'm saying?
Right. Yes.
Which is two different things. And I say, some of the things I say you're gonna feel resistance, some of the things I say you're gonna agree with. Pay particular attention to the things you feel resistance to, because that's usually the thing that's most true about you. But you wouldn't be feeling all the resistance. That's right. And so you're probably going to find yourself getting angry at some things I tell you. They go, no. Then 30 minutes later, they want to throw them out the window. Why? Because if I'm telling you something other than the answer you want to hear, your ego is going to resist it. But if your answer was right, then you wouldn't be upset right now and hadn't needed the help that you're asking for, right? So the Course in Miracles says, every appeal you answer in the name of Christ. What is Christ? The Course says Christ is nothing but your true self, your loving self. It's not all, it says Christ is the one self we all share. We are all sharing one self. And the Christ is that loving true self that we are. It's not the traditional religious definition of the term. And the Course says that if every appeal you answer in the name of love, every appeal you answer in the name of your loving self brings remembrance of your Creator closer to your awareness. So what do we want to do? I want to remember my Creator. I want to remember love. I want to remember my connection to love. How do I do that? Well, I answer your appeal. I'll see what you are doing as a call for love. That's how I do it. If I see your call for love and want your call for love answered, then every time I do that, it's bringing the remembrance of love closer to my awareness. The more I see what you're doing as a call for love, the more I remember love. The more I see what you do as a call for love, I'm hearing the word love, so I'm remembering love every time I see what you're doing as a call for love or a call for help. So I'm remembering it as I answer it. I'm remembering that you have a call for love if I'm responding to you in a loving way. If I'm responding to your call in a loving way, it's bringing the remembrance of love, which is my Creator, closer to my awareness. The Course says we basically have amnesia. Spiritual amnesia. We've forgotten who we really are. We've forgotten the incredible loving beings that we really are. So the purpose of the spiritual path is to take you out of amnesia and allow you to remember who you are. I'm going to tell you the good thing about it. I play saxophone, for example. Now, if I had a brain injury and I had amnesia and someone handed me a sax, I wouldn't be able to play it because I don't remember it. Following me? But if all of a sudden my memory came back, I could play sax immediately. Right. The minute you remember that you're a creator, you'll be able to create again. And you'll be in total love and joy and peace again. There won't be a need for a learning curve. I didn't need a learning curve the once I remembered I played sax. And you won't need a learning curve the once you remember that you're only love. Got it? Right. So that's why the Course says the only problem is an identity problem. The only problem is when you've forgotten who you really are. He says that's the only problem. If you knew you could play sax, you play sax. You remembered it. If we remembered that we were unlimited spiritual beings who have unlimited creative power to extend the love of God, we would do it just like that as soon as we remembered. So I'm working on remembering what I am more than changing what I see.
Oh, good.
Okay, I'm not interested in changing people anymore.
Me
And I can
neither.
always tell when I slip back into it because it's called Earl is upset.
Yeah.
That's your clue. When you're upset, you're right back to saying there's something outside myself or different I'd be happy. That's all it means when you're upset. You come up with a script, the world isn't meeting it, and now you're mad again. So use your feelings to keep you in check with what you really believe, because your ego is studying the course and doesn't know how to say what the course is saying without you having any ability to implement it. So you'll be good at talking the truth, but you'll be fooling yourself all the time about how much you're able to actually practice it. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that if my feelings are not peaceful and loving, I don't care what I'm telling myself, there's something I'm seeing incorrectly. Okay? So the Course says, for the sake of whose need? Yours. I love that. I'll do it for me. Doing it for you is suspect, but I'll do it for me. The Course is using the law of self-preservation to our advantage.
Right.
It knows that if I tell you how this is going to serve you, you do it. If I told you every time you felt guilty was taking money out your bank account, you think twice about guilt.
Right.
But if I told you not to make somebody feel guilty because it's such a loving thing to do, But if you can show me how it's directly affecting my survival, I'll have a different level of attention to what you're saying.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, and like it says, for the sake of your need. It didn't say for the sake of your brother's need. It said for the sake of your need, do what? Hear every call for help as a call for help. Just say, hear it that way. Hear it that way. So God can answer you. Okay, what was it at the end of the sentence? So God can answer you. Well, I want to know what I need to do. So God says, I need to get back at the beginning of the sentence again, don't I? Because I just said, so God can answer you. What did it say before that?
So
It'd be hard to know what to tell me without looking at the book, wouldn't
call
it?
for love.
Right? It says right here, for the sake of your need, hear every call for help as what it is. Hear it so that love can answer me. I want God to answer me, so what do I need to do? I need to see every call for help that you have. I want to remember God, then I need to answer every appeal if I want to remember God. I'm going to hear the answer that I want to hear. If I see but one need in myself, I will be healed. If I want to have help, I need to give help. And my interpretation of your needs, that's the interpretation of mine. That's the way you're supposed to be communicating with yourself. Notice I didn't analyze nothing. There's nothing in there to analyze. Your interpretation of my need, it's the interpretation of yours. What's to analyze? Anything you interpret, right? And then by giving help, you're asking for it. Now, I might not want to give help, but the truth is, if I give it, I'm asking for it. What's to analyze about? If you see one need in yourself, you'll be healed. And what is the need? For love, right? What's to analyze about that? Every appeal you answer in the name of love is going to bring the remembrance of love closer to your awareness. What's to analyze? Every appeal I answer in the name of love, then I'm going to become more aware of love because I'm thinking about love. Right? Then the next sentence said, for the sake of your need, hear every call for help is what it is. Okay, I have a need, so I'm going to say what you're doing is a call for help, so that I can also receive help. There's nothing to analyze, but there's a lot to remember. See, the Course always says, remember, 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 don't forget, remember, don't forget, remember, don't forget, remember, don't forget, remember. That's said over 100 times in the book. It's never any place in the book where it says stop and analyze. As a matter of fact, it says that to analyze it destroys the meaning of it. It goes so far as to say analyzing destroys the meaning of it.
Right.
If you chop me into 1,000 pieces, you wouldn't know who you were looking at. So breaking everything down to try to understand it, which of course calls the analyzation of this breaking it down. It doesn't help you understand anything better. You would know who I was if I was all broken down. And you don't know who you are because a lot of times you all broke down. Right? Sometimes we don't remember the loving, peaceful self we are because we're broke down. And we say, I just feel broke down right now. Right? Right? Next time you feel broke down, say, I'm feeling a call for help right now. I'm feeling a call for love right now. I'm feeling a call for God right now. Well, how you doing today? Right now, I got a big call for love, and it's in the form of my transmission needing to be replaced in my car. I got a big call for love right now. It's taking the form of me really having a bad stomach ache. That's the way you start to talk when you're beginning to practice this new language. Yes. You tell yourself the truth, and then you talk about the form, the latest form you're deceiving yourself in. Tell yourself the truth, then tell yourself the latest form. It's my car, it's my relationship, it's my child, it's my back. I All that's the effect of not loving myself. Then it says, what? Hear every call for help is what it is, so God, which is love, can answer you. In the comments, take about 3 or 4 minutes to get in the comments or feedback, okay, and I'll work my way around.
The first thing that pops out of me is that I can heal myself if I stop trying to fix others.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. It's like, do them a favor and don't.
Yeah,
Try to fix them. If you really love them, don't try to fix them. You know, and work my way around. Yes.
When it says like my interpretation of like someone's needs or my interpretation of mine, I can just see how that works like with love or with fear. So like with fear, you know, that person needs to change. That person needs to start being on time. That person needs to show up differently. And it's like, that's how I'm like in the mirror image. That's the type of criticism I'm constantly giving to myself. And so that judgment feedback loop, like I can see how clearly that interpretation is either working for love or working for fear. Like, okay, that person is beautiful. That person is, you know, going to be helped by God. That person, and then I'll be like hearing that towards myself as well.
Thank you.
That person's innocent. Okay, I'm innocent.
I like when the chorus says, I can't forget what I'm always reminding somebody else about.
That's right.
Right? So if I'm saying you're beautiful, I'm remembering beauty. You know, and instead of just remembering booty. Yeah, come here.
Which is okay too.
Which is okay too.
Yeah.
If you want more booty.
You're innocent.
And you have not to, don't be sharing.
More booty.
I refuse to be reverent. Okay, now, yeah.
Is this, I'm seeing this passages like God is trying to make us see, think the way He thinks, she thinks.
Right.
Like, you know, if you only see love or a call for it, then you're not going to confuse you trying to remember what you are by what you are choosing to see.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm giving what I want to receive. I'm always giving what I want to receive, whether I know it or not. Yeah. Working back.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
my
so
brother.
you said we all have amnesia. We forgot who we are, and it's amazing that in Arabic the word human being for us humans, it's insan, which means forgot. Amnesia. It's the same word. For humanity,
Yeah.
for mankind, and amnesia,
It's the same
word.
It makes perfect sense that in that language that amnesia and human is the same, is the exact same
Yeah, we
thing.
forgot who we are.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Working my way back. Anybody back there in the back? Well, yes, my brother.
How do you handle corona disease?
The way you handle corona disease is to see it as a call for God and see it as a call for love. And then ask God what you should do, what you should say, where you should go, and who you should say it to, is what the Course says you do. Is that you ask, what should I do about corona disease? At the very least, I need to see it differently. That's the least I can do, is see it as a call for God.
So picking up on CJ's comment about not fixing others,
Yeah.
how do I supply a perceived need for love for someone who doesn't want to hear the truth, doesn't want to...
Okay, in the Course in Miracles, in the Teacher's Manual, when it talks about what is our role in healing, said that we ask for the right to question what they believe mentally. We, in our minds, we think the truth in their presence without saying anything to them.
Thank you.
That's what you do. Because some people are not ready to wake up yet. And they have a right to still sleep as long as they want to. Right? I mean, that's the truth. Part of my loving you is letting you make your own choices. Now, if you ask me my opinion or what I think about it, I'm going to let you have it. Because you asked me for it. But that happens very seldom. Are people interested in your opinion? Okay, so you don't get that happening a whole lot overall. Isn't that the truth? I mean, overall, you don't have, most of the time when you're with people, they don't ask you anything. Right? They just talk about themselves. You know, the average person thinks you're a great conversationalist because you didn't say anything. But you did give them space to constantly communicate whatever was on their mind, and they'll say you're the best person they ever talked to. It's so funny, isn't it? Isn't that interesting? That the people who want to hang out with you the most would be the ones you didn't say nothing to. Might be a hint in that. Might be a hint in that. All right, okay.
And they got a step further to see them as God sees them in the first place, which is there is no need to fix anything.
And that's that's exactly right. That's what I'm saying. That you, when you really begin to wake up, you talk to who God tells you to talk to.
Exactly.
And in most cases, you help the people the most that you didn't even know you were helping. Not the ones you personally selected to help out. He says those are particularly likely to be misguided choices.
Yes.
So when you sit down and say, my sister needs my help, that's probably misguided.
Wow.
Because you consciously selected who needed your help. Ask Spirit. And if you feel like Spirit is telling you to do it, then do it. But I'm going to tell you something. Don't do it if you got a script for how they should be responding to what you say. Don't come help me and then get upset because I didn't respond the way you wanted me to. The Course says people will respond to the answer when they see it as a blessing and not a curse. And when they first hear it, they may not see the benefit of what you're saying, so therefore they don't use it right then. And then you get upset because it looks like you just tried to help somebody and they didn't respond to your help. Then that was not a real gift that you gave them. That was imprisonment, because now they got to act the way you want them to act because of what you gave them. So that's imprisonment. That's not a gift. You know, it's not a gift until you give it away with no concern about it. I offer you a cup of tea. You say no, thank you. I don't go into therapy and grieving. Right? Because I gave it with no concern about how you were going to receive it and respond to it. So let's go to the next paragraph.
Yes.
I'm going through this the way I do it in the book, even though I've read the book over 100 times or more, because I want to encourage you to get in the book. And if I use the book, you'll see that it's not as ununderstandable as the ego tries to tell you it is. Because you're hearing me read right out of the book. And you're going, oh, right? By applying the Holy Spirit's interpretation of the reactions of others more and more consistently, if you would apply seeing it as love or call for love more consistently, if you see it as call for help and a call for love or call for love more consistently, then you will gain an increasing awareness that God's criteria, which is his love or call for love, is equally applicable to you. If I see that what you're doing is love or call for love, then I'll start to believe the things that upset me and the unloving things I do are also a call for love. So I start to be more gentle with myself. You and what you do is being seen as a call for help and a call for love, and I keep calling it a call for help and a call for love, then my mind is going to start to automatically apply that interpretation to me. And I'll start to feel more gentle with myself and more loving when I act out in an angry, upset way, which is my call for love. Everybody follow that? Okay? It says, for to recognize, this is the, do you know what the Course in Miracles definition of recognizing fear is? I'm about to tell you. It's very different from what we think it is. When a person says, you got to recognize your fear. The Course says, but to recognize fear isn't enough to escape from it. To realize you're afraid isn't enough to get rid of your fear. To tell me you're afraid is not enough to get rid of your fear. To tell me you're angry is not enough to get rid of your anger. But it says, so what? It says, for to recognize fear isn't enough to escape from fear, although the recognition is necessary because it demonstrates you need to escape from your fear. I am afraid of you all, okay? But telling you that doesn't make me unafraid of you all.
Right.
What's going to make me unafraid of you all is to recognize I need to escape that fear. And then I start moving in the direction of what it would take to get rid of my fear. So being honest about your feelings is the first step, but it's not the step to get you out of that feeling. It demonstrates the need to get out of that feeling or to stay in it if it's a cool one and build on it. Right? So if you're happy, just share your happiness with others and you increase your happiness. Yeah. You're having a good day, see a good day for other people and include, you can also use all these laws that we're hearing right now on behalf of your joy. Okay, I just want you to know, right. By giving joy, you're asking for it. If you perceive one need in yourself, which is joy, you will be healed. For you will recognize joy's answer as you want it to be. If you want it in truth, it'll be yours. See, you can apply the laws to anything. That's why the Course has a lot of its and thises and thems and theys, because it's trying to get you to know that you could substitute anything you think you're going through in that it. And then you would make it personal to yourself. You know, give it to have it. Okay, give love to have love. Give peace. See, whatever, you just fill in the blank on the it.
Right.
Okay? You give anger to have anger. You give attack to have attack. So someone who's attacking, the first thing that goes through my mind is they are someone who wants to be hurt and they want to be attacked. Because you're increasing your chances of being attacked if you're attacking everybody. So it's pretty obvious that's a person who hates themselves and wants to be attacked. Why? Because they're attacking everybody else. So by what you're giving, you know what you're really asking for. And if you stay angry and upset and attacking people most of the time, you see how much you want to be hurt. Because you're not loving yourself. Wow. And so it says it right here. It says, the Holy Spirit, which is your loving right mind, must translate your fear into truth. I got to translate your fear into love. Then it says, if you were left with the fear, but once you recognized it, you would have taken a step away from reality, which is love, not towards it. So I'll say it again. If you were left with your fear and anger and upset and loneliness, once you had recognized it and you just were left with it, oh, I'm so glad you realized that you got all these issues, and I'll just leave you right here. Okay, he says, now I'm more afraid than at least when I was in denial, I thought I was nice. When I was in denial, I thought I was loving. I thought I didn't have any fears, okay? Because that's what people do when they're in denial. They think everybody else has something that they don't have in their mind. So they'll be the only positive, loving one, and everybody else is stupid. Right? And it just means that they're stupid and they don't know it. Okay? But all they got to do is ask the people around them.
That's what they think someone else needs.
That's what the purpose of a relationship is, to keep your butt out of denial. So that you can really see what's really going on with you, because by yourself, you tell yourself you're perfect. I've been living alone for 20 years. I think I'm perfect. There's no opposition.
Yeah.
The mirror always agrees. So then you get in a relationship so you can see where you're coming from. That's so you really know what's happening. You know, I'm the most peaceful person in the world. Get over that other lane. Get over there. I love it. You've seen it. You know you've seen it. You know you've done it. You know, it's funny. If a person talking negative about themselves and then I say something that related to the negative thing they just said, then they start telling me how cool they are. Right. Because people take the opposite. So the minute you go, I really hate my husband, he's the worst person in the world, I don't know how I can help him, he's just horrible. And I say, you saying your husband really is a pretty horrible person, right? Well, he really is kind of good, and he does give me a piece of pie on my birthday. So we have a tendency that, to take the opposite point of view, because it's through opposition that I separate myself from you and know myself as an individual. That's why your teenagers tend to do just the opposite of their parents, because they're trying to allow themselves to get in touch with their own individuality. Right. I was unconventional, very metaphysical, very buck wild with my own children. So they were some of the most conservative born-again Christians at the time that you could possibly imagine, because they rebelled against me by making a vow not to do drugs or have sex before marriage and not celebrate Christmas or anything like that. So they thought they were hurting me, but they saved me thousands of dollars. And I love them, and we're gonna laugh about what I'm saying right now, because we've had a miraculous transition in our relationship, and now they just like me, and I don't know if that's bad or good. Okay, now, I think it's good because we're closer than ever before and accepting each other more than ever before and having more love with each other than we've ever done before. And all I did was practice what the Course said, and I didn't try to change them at all anymore. I just said, well, why don't I use these ideas? It's only been 40 years. So I can't go sit with y'all if you don't practice what I'm saying and you haven't even read the book. That'd be ridiculous for me to expect you to do what I'm saying and you're not doing a lot of personal study of it. Because it takes years for most people to get to the point that they'll actually be willing to use the ideas they're being given. Really. 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 Most people can talk it, because that's the first stage. They can talk it, but they can't apply it. And so you hurt yourself if you think that just because somebody's talking this stuff, they can do it. And that's how you hurt yourself. You know, the New Age people, we really good at saying all the right flowery things. You know, but we'll run over you if you make us do that. You'll be back in another life. No problem. Okay. I had a lot of subconscious, unconscious anger, guilt, and grievances. I had to do shadow work. And most people have to do shadow work. You have to be willing to look at the beliefs that you have that you don't know you have. Those beliefs are creating the pain you're going through in the world that you think is not connected to you because you're so nice. I'm going to say it again. Shadow work gets you in touch with ideas and patterns and beliefs that you have that you don't know you have that's creating the fear and the pain that you're going through. And just being positive ain't going to get rid of it.
Right.
Even though it's cool to be positive.
Yeah.
You know, I could be positive and still have a trash can full of trash in my kitchen. So the trash can full of trash, you know what I'm talking about? The trash can full of trash ain't going to be out of the kitchen until I look at it and go, there's a trash can full of trash. And then I got to pick it up and I got to take it out and still be positive.
Right.
So just because you're being positive, your trash can is overflowing. And it's behind you. And you're going, something sure is popular. What is it? It's what you're unconscious of. It's what you're unconscious of. Is this making sense to everybody? I'm tuning in with you because you might say you're hearing me and then 30 minutes after class is over, you're upset about something because somebody's not being the way you want them to be. So the Course says that that if you were left with the fear, even after you have been made aware of it, you would be a stepping away from peace and love. He says, yet we repeatedly, note it says repeat, we have repeatedly emphasized what? The need to recognize fear and face it without disguise is a crucial step in the undoing of your fear. The ego is your fear. So then I work back. What is the crucial step in undoing my fear? It's facing it without disguise. So that would call for me to say, if my friend or my partner asked me how I was feeling, and I would say something like, I'm going to face this without disguise. You know, there's a part of me right now that is so mad and so upset and feeling so hurt and so insecure that I don't know what to do. Okay, I just faced it without disguise. I didn't pretend I didn't feel what I was feeling.
Right. Exactly.
I did not pretend I didn't feel what I was feeling. I was facing my fear without disguise. And then it says that's a what? Crucial step if you want to undo your fear. You can't undo what you're not looking at.
Yeah.
If I would take my hat off, I got to look at it on my head. I can take it off with my eyes closed, but it takes longer sometimes. Okay. So consider how well love's interpretation of the motives of others will serve you. Did you get the instruction? It says, I want you to consider what this new interpretation of the motives of others as being love or call for love. He wants you to consider how that's going to serve you. Then at this point, the Course in Miracles says, in case y'all didn't get this, I'm going to repeat what I just said another way. So you don't have to go back and analyze it. I'm getting ready to tell you what I just said. Here we go. Having taught you guys to accept only loving thoughts in others and to regard everything else as an appeal for help. What I've done, pretend I'm the Holy Spirit. I look like the Holy Spirit, right? Okay. I have taught you that fear itself is a call for help. I'll say it again. I taught you to accept only loving thoughts in other people and to regard everything else as an appeal for help. That's it. Who's not smart enough to do that? A fifth grader could remember those two things. Now, you know. So then the Course in Miracles says, regard everything else as an appeal for help, but he's taught you to see fear as an appeal for help. So instead of saying I feel afraid, I would be saying, today I've really been feeling a deep call for help. Today I've been feeling a deep call for help about how I'm going to pay my utility bill. Today I've been feeling a deep call for fear. I've been feeling a deep call for help if I'm going to be laid off from my job. See, that's the way a conscious being who uses the course curriculum, I think, begins to communicate. They start to use this language to describe their fears. So instead of saying fear, I would just say, right now I'm feeling such a call for the help of God. You know, right now I got a bad, my call for help is taking the form of a toothache that's killing me. So that's what you would start, because we get caught up in the latest form that our call for help comes in, the toothache, the money, the car. And the Course says, no, we got to work at the causative level, and the causative level is understanding that it's you believing you're not loved and having forgotten who you are that's causing the financial problem. The reason why you're lonely is you don't know who you are.
Right.
The reason why you think you're broke is because you don't know who you are, and you're making it up as you go along. And you call it your self-concept. So when most people tell you they're introducing themselves to you, they're just introducing who they think they are to you, which means you're not meeting them, you're meeting their concept of themselves. But don't worry about it, because you're going to make up a concept of them while you're standing there, and their concept of themselves after a while is not going to even matter, because your judgment is going to be the one you trust. See, I'm going to make up a picture about, I'm going to make up a story about who I think you are while I'm talking to you. So I'm making up an ego for me, and I'm making up an ego for you. And I can change your ego just by thinking about you. And then I go, you know what, I don't think it's as bad as I thought they were. See, that's me changing you in my mind, leaving you out of the whole process. You're not even in the process. I changed my mind about you, and then I start to like you, even though I didn't like you. So I made up an ego for you, a story about you, and then I changed that story just by thinking about you. I have never even met you. So this book is deep, y'all, I'm telling you. I don't understand how people don't get into this stuff, man. Just, but it's just, you ought to just do it just so you can be freaked out. You know, just for the fun of being freaked out. Because you think, you know, if you think you know everything, read this. Read this. It's guaranteed to have something to offend everyone.
An equal opportunity.
It's an equal opportunity offending book. You're going to find your sentence or more, and it's going to make you want to throw that book out of the window. You know, yeah. So let me get to the end of the paragraph, then I throw it open again for comments. Okay, so it says, we have repeatedly emphasized the need to recognize fear and do what? Face it. Face it.
Oh my gosh.
She's waiting on me.
Don't you dare go to sleep, and I'm trying to get you out of hell.
Yeah.
That's how you got there. That's how you got in the situation that has you upset and whatever. Even though you might be a person right now that everything is going great. So you can't relate to what I'm saying at all, because everything in your life is so great. And usually when a person says that, it means the fantasy about how I've made things up to be seem to be happening the way I think they should. And that's why I'm happy. The script is pretty much going the way that I want it to. So my happiness is really based on my script really being acted out beautifully right now. So I'll say I'm happy. But could I be happy still if nothing was going the way that I thought I wanted it to go? That's the person who has real happiness. Oh, they told me today I had 6 months to live. God, let's go to Dazzle. And listen to some jazz, because I'm going to be leaving here in a while. It's been a great run. I'm an eternal being. I wanted to have the experience of being a body and see what the world would be like if I hated myself. That's why I'm here. And I've seen what happens when you, I want to see, what would it be like if I thought I was separate from God in a body all alone? What would that be like? Because I'm a God. I can imagine anything I want to. I'm a little baby God, and with a lot of other little baby gods. And we get the chance to play with our toys. But we're baby gods, so we can make actual houses and cars. Because we're baby gods. And let's throw in, we forgot our creator, we forgot love, and then we think we bodies that die. Don't forget that. Oh, don't forget we believe in sin and guilt and not quite being enough. Just add that to the mix of hell. Give me a teaspoon of guilt. Oh, give me a cup of judgment. Give me a little attack ketchup. That's what this book is telling us. We are part of a grand experiment that we wanted to be a part of, which was to see what it would be like to forget God and to think you're separate from each other. And this is the world that you create when you think you're separate from each other. It's the one we're living in. So the course is saying, well, how do you get out of here? Well, you start to see it differently. What do you mean? You got to see it as love or call for love if you want out. Your ticket out is love. Your ticket out is love, that's right. Not specialness.
Thank you.
Amen. But specialness only means you're having a relationship where your love is not reflecting the love of God. It doesn't have anything to do with a person being able to have a primary relationship with one other person. Doesn't mean because you're loving everybody and you're free and we're all one, that doesn't mean that you would indiscriminately have sex with everybody. First of all, you couldn't keep up. Right. So sometimes people, but what a holy relationship means is the purpose of the relationship is for you all to help each other remember you're innocent and sinless and guiltless. Right. That's all it means. Everybody make up a lot of other stuff about what it means. But either you're in a relationship that's removing your guilt or making it. Right. That's it. That's the difference between a holy relationship and a special relationship. Don't let everybody make it all complicated. It has nothing to do with what you do with your body with somebody. It doesn't have anything to do with whether you do it one body or 30 bodies. You know, if you could do it all through the body, then the 80s would have a different meaning for me. I tried. Okay. Gave it the good old college try. Okay. Okay. But the more innocent you realize you are, the more innocent you realize you are, the more uncondemned you realize you are by God, the more loved you feel like you are, the less you do things that make you feel guilty. Because you know that anything that you would get ready to do that would make you feel guilty by definition is something that you're going to hurt yourself through. And so you don't want that pain. And you know if you're feeling guilty before you get ready to do something.
That's right.
And you know if you're feeling guilt afterwards. That's the same meaning. If you're feeling guilt afterwards, that wasn't experienced in love. Because love never brings guilt.
No.
According to this. According to this. According to this. Did I say according to this?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Then it says, if you don't protect it, protect what? Recognizing what fear really means. In other words, when you say you recognize fear, you're saying, I know what fear is now. It's a call for help. That's all it means. I know what fear is now. What is fear? It's a call for love. That's recognizing fear. See how simple that is? Yeah. Now, recognizing fear means I now know what it is. So now I know whenever I'm afraid, it is called for help. Now I recognize what fear is. It's calling for help. Now I recognize what attack is. It's calling for help. Now I recognize what lack is. It's a call for help. See, now you know what everything is. Now, why wouldn't a person want to use that? Well, he said it in the early part of this section. He said, my own imagined need to attack would keep me from seeing what you do as a call for love. If I want to go off on you, I don't want to see it as a call for help because it wouldn't seem right to go off on you if I was seeing it as a call for help. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to see what you're doing as a call for love because then I couldn't attack you. It seems cruel to attack somebody that's calling for my help. This is like you calling for the fire department because someone's on fire. As soon as you open the door, they punch you in your face. See, if I don't want, so I can't see what you're doing as a call for love. Because then I wouldn't be justified in cussing you out. Because I want to attack you more than I want to forgive you. Y'all know our ego does that.
Yeah.
That's why we don't want to go. That's why some people want to make this more complicated than what it is. They don't want to hear me say, this dude just said everything that I'm looking at is love or call for love, which means that I need to see it that way. But I don't want to see it that way because I need to get angry and upset and attack all the injustices and everything I see is going on around me. So I don't want to see it as if my seeing it as a call for love was not helping. Actually seeing it as a call for love is what would be the greatest healing to the situation. Because what's missing is we are not freaking loving each other. I am not going to not like you because you're in what's called a Caucasian car.
Oh, wow.
That's so stupid.
Wow.
I think racism is the stupidest mind that walks the earth. But guess what? It's a call for love. It's a call. And why don't I want to say it's a call for love? Because I want to go off on the racist. So I don't want to see that as a call for love. You think lynching that black dude was a call for love? I said lynching that black dude was a big call for love. That's not excusing it. That's recognizing it. You can't think the way the world thinks and think you're going to get a different result because you're nice. People think being nice is what's going to get it. It's the application of the truth in your daily life. That's what's going to get it, Earl.
That's right.
Do you hear that, Earl? Yeah, I hear it. That's what I got to be with Earl. I'm hard on Earl. I wish to heaven that I love me as much as I look like I care about you. I treat you all much nicer than I treat you. You're right. Okay, I gotta see that's a call for love, and she judging herself, and I know it's not a real judgment. You know, and I just have to be practicing the truth on y'all. Then I do something, I crucify myself. So I hope one day I treat me the way I treat you. That's what my prayer is. That one day I treat me like I treat you. Yeah. Why do you think I'm up here teaching? It's because I need to learn this stuff. And you know I'm the most grievance holding person in the room if I'm the teacher. That means I need constant, non-stop remembering. That's why I have classes. That assures I'll heal. Because I'm making sure I hear this every time I talk to y'all. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Your teachers are never different from you. Don't you buy into that any of your teachers are different from you. They are not. I don't care whether it's Eckhart or Oprah or Marianne Wheat. I don't care who it is. If they're in this world, they have an ego. And they have to also learn how to love. But they're doing the important thing. They're putting themselves in a position where they're always talking the truth so that they'll always hear it. That's what all teachers do. They teach what they need to learn. That's why I stay enthusiastic. Because I'm still learning it. So now I see what I do as a call for love quicker than ever before. Now I forgive myself faster than I ever have. Do you know what that does? It makes me want to forgive other people faster than I ever have because I don't want the pain and suffering that grievances bring to the person that keeps them. I love myself too much now to stay. I'm not going to make you important enough to make me put myself through hell.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm not going to make your egos important enough for me to stay upset at y'all all the time. Because that's just going to make me broke, sick, and unhappy. I'm too selfish to hate you. I'm too selfish to mistreat you. I'm too selfish to want to hurt you. I care about myself too much to do that. So here we at the end of it now. Would you like to be around everybody that didn't want to hurt you?
Amen.
Right? Be one. You can't attack everybody around you and think you're going to be surrounded by safety. Because even if you are surrounded by safety, you won't see it. That's why we don't see God. Wow. Wow. wow, you're surrounded by safety and you may not know it. You're surrounded by love and you may not know it. Love puts the ego asleep. And that's what you want a fearful mind to be when it's around you. Asleep. If there's a lion over in the corner, I'm going to tiptoe back. I'm not going to wake him up.
That's right.
So you tiptoe back unconscious people and you send them love and you want peace for them. But you don't get into a love affair with them. Because they'll kill you. Unconscious people believe that some of them believe you deserve to die. If you was to go to bed with somebody else, they think you should die. And not only that, all their friends are telling you need to die too. It's so funny. It's so funny when you begin to start to wake up to what love is, and you realize that the reason why everybody's so upset and unhappy is because nobody's practicing real love consistently with each other. But you read that in a million books, right?
Right.
I have read that a million times. You know what happened to me over the last couple of months? I accepted it as true. Now I have to deal with a world that's completely different from the one I was in before. Because it's different between trying to remember what the Course says and you're looking as the Course looks.
Right.
That's the two different ways to live. I'm not going, what is the Course in Miracles? I should see it as the call for love. Now when you believe it, you just go straight to, that's a call for love.
That's a big call for
That's a big, you don't go to the, what is the right way for me to look at it? Because that is a valid stage. Don't get me wrong, that's a valid stage. But when you wake up, it becomes your viewpoint. It's the way you're looking at, you don't go, I'm not a body, I'm free. You really go, I am not a body. That means I must be free. Because all the limitations that I think I have are around me thinking that I'm this fragile thing. All of a sudden you see what it's saying. And you begin to realize that for your own happiness and safety and joy, you are going to see it as love or a call for love. You don't, and the more you don't debate about it, you don't analyze, because you realize that all the analyzing is what you do when you have the answer, but you're not ready to use it yet. Analyzing is what you do when you have an answer, but you're not ready to use it yet. That's all. That's one way of looking at analyzing. It's just a delay and maneuver to keep you from using what you just heard because you don't want to. So you act like you still have to figure it out. Woo! Wow. But if you're in the burning building and the fireman comes up to get you out, you don't ask him how the fire got started.
That's right.
If you're in the room that's on fire.
That's right.
You get out the burning room, get into the cool of the shade, across the street, in total safety, and you go, how did the fire start? We're like the person in the friggin' burning room that the answer is coming to us, and we're saying, well, how did it get started? Where did that come from? What does that mean? So I have this theory that if you're safe enough to sit back and ask a question and analyze, you must be in a totally safe environment, which means you really don't think you have the problems that you think you have because they're not so urgent that it keep you from taking the time to analyze.
Wow, that's right.
So if you got time enough to sit back and question and analyze, then you're not in a dire state.
That's right.
Bear's on your butt. You don't turn around and go, where did you come from, bear? You get out of the way. Here's a great line from A Course in Miracles. I'm going to wind this thing down because when I'm just getting warmed up, everybody else I can't take no more. Okay, so don't you say another word, black man. I just have a few more years to use this device.
Yeah.
And I think about how much time I wasted in it, feeling guilty and upset about me and the stuff that I thought other people were doing that was making me unhappy. And but I had to go through that. It was a legitimate stage, so I'm not going to criticize and condemn myself for that. But it still is appalling. It's appalling how much time I spent being afraid of things that never happened. Oh my God, holding back in love because I was afraid I was going to be hurt.
Right?
All that kind of stuff. Oh my God. I tell you, man, I am so glad I am 51% sane. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I'm more sane than I'm insane.
That's all that matters.
That's all I mean. But I still got some insane. Don't cross me. Okay. That 40% will kick your ass. What happened to do? Earl's 40%.
It's funny.
Earl's 40%. Got hold to him. You got your 40%? You got your 70%? You got your 8%? How many people sometimes got your 90% unconscious? Let's admit it. We have all acted a fool at some time or another in our life.
Not really.
And if you didn't, guess what? You missed out on a lot of fun. Because most of the stuff now I look back on and go, I can't do that no more. But God, I had fun when I was doing it. So now I just have to forgive myself. I know I already have forgiven myself. Why? Because I'm not doing it anymore.
Yes.
That's how I know I've forgiven myself. I'm not putting myself through that. I ain't gonna be in no kind of relationship with somebody that don't want me. That's crazy. I remember that was the criteria for me wanting you. You had to be hard to get. You had to not really want me, and I had to seduce you. You know, it's like that is so slow. And the Course in Miracles said, look here, there are very specific contacts that have been chosen for you because you can't meet everybody. And I will send them to you, and they will need you because the way you are is best for them at their level of understanding. So they'll want you to be the way you are. They'll need you to be the way you are. Somebody that's really sent to you by spirit according to my interpretation of this, and what it's saying is, it'll be a mutual desire. It'll be equal. They won't be fighting you. You won't be fighting them. There won't be any fear. There won't be any distrust. You won't be treating them like they was the person you was with before. You won't use nothing about that person that you were with before to judge who they are. You let them show up as who they are. You will be so centered in your love for yourself that you can take a chance of totally being 100% given in the relationship because you know you can't be hurt. And once you know you can't be hurt because you're so centered in yourself, you don't hold back from anybody, and you experience love for the first time in your life. Because all that pain you were going through was the strain of you not giving love and expecting it to come to you first.
Oh, yeah.
So you were denying it to yourself. And then you meet somebody else that's doing the same thing. Y'all have a hellish relationship. And you wonder, why did all that pain happen? Because both of y'all crazy. Yeah, both of y'all forgot the truth. And so you were both calling for love, calling for help, and calling for healing. So forgive yourself for every time you was behind a bush watching that house. Not that I'm talking about anything I've ever done. I just brought up an arbitrary.
So what was the line that you said you were like, oh, my favorite line from the book to share, you were about to say?
All right, recognize misery and go the other way.
Yeah.
Recognize misery and go. Did you say recognize misery and analyze it?
Yes.
Say recognize misery and go the other way.
Yeah.
If you see you get more and more miserable, just go the other way.
Yes.
Okay? And then it says in the last sign, it says, this is the ultimate value in learning to perceive attack as a call for love. We've already learned that fear and attack are associated. I'm much more to attack somebody than I'm afraid of. All right?
Yes.
And he says, if only attack produces fear, and if you finally see attack as the call for help that attack is, then the unreality of fear must dawn on you. So the more you see attack as a call for help, the less afraid you will be. So if you want your fear and anger and guilt to decrease, then you have to be willing to at least say that attack is a call for help and a call for love, because its attack is producing the fear in the first place. So the Course is saying, didn't say you had to believe it. Remember at the beginning it said you don't have to believe it, you don't have to welcome it, and no matter what your reaction is to it, use it. No matter what that can be your reaction, can be, I don't believe this is a bunch of crap, but don't turn me on at all. It says, it says no matter what your reaction, do what? Use it. I don't care how you feel about this. Use it. And it says if you use it, ultimately, the unreality of your fear is going to dawn on you because fear is a call for love. Fear is a call for love. So what is fear? It's an unconscious recognition that love is being denied you. See, when I'm afraid, it means there is some love that's not happening right now. There's some safety that's not happening. In other words, when you're fearful, it's an unconscious recognition that in this moment for you, no love is happening. In this moment for you, in this relationship, no love is happening. I'm afraid of you. I'm recognizing that love isn't happening between us.
I'm not safe.
I'm not safe. Fear is what? In unconscious recognition of what has been denied. So whenever you feel fear, it's actually a reminder that you know what love is, and right now you're not feeling it. Okay, I appreciate y'all listening to that much. Holy Spirit, that acknowledgement. Thank you for the 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 acknowledgement. And I also acknowledge you. Let's do the financial expression of appreciation, the love offering. If you're online and you want to do that, if you want to share and you're online, just go to my website. Thank you, Cheryl. My website, www.earlpurdy.com, P-U-R-D-Y, earlpurdy.com. If you want to use Venmo, my email address is earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. Very difficult email to remember. earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. On Thursday, 7 o'clock Mountain Time, I do hardcore Course in Miracles that's primarily geared toward people who have already decided they know they want to study the course. And so I can help them with the 40 years I've been working on it. Anybody's welcome to watch it, but I'm going to be assuming that whoever is watching it is a course student. And that's what I'm going to be really focused on. There's nothing that I can say that's more clever than what's in this book. And in most cases, people have never heard what's in this book. So my function is to be a living translation of the book. And to, as best I can, bring the words to life so that people can hear what it's saying. That's my role. It's not that I get you to total understanding of everything that it's saying. My goal is to allow us to hear what it's saying. And it's powerful when we do that together. It's very difficult for the ego to survive in an environment where there's joining. You want fear to go away, feel like you're surrounded by others in safety. It's an incredible feeling, incredible feeling. So that's Thursday, 7 o'clock Mountain Time, and then Sundays at 1 o'clock right here, Mountain Time, on the Earl Purdy page. The Earl Purdy page. That's what I want to do. Okay. One thing I heard today that I really want to remember is
I want to be Purdy with Purdy.
You want to be pretty with Purdy. And what paragraph was that in?
That was a download from...
That's a download.
Yeah, a download.
I hear you. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
What I am saying others need is really what I need.
What my interpretation of somebody else's need is my interpretation of mine. Okay, anybody else? Trudy.
So recognize misery and run the other way. See that I am surrounded by others in safety.
There you go. There you go. I'm surrounded by others in safety. Recognize misery and do what?
Run.
Go the other way. I'm working down around the room. There you go.
So kind of an interpretation of what you said, but all of my limitations are in identification with the body, and therefore I'm creating my own prison.
Right. All my limitations are associated with the idea that I'm a body, and therefore I'm making my own prison. Why is it my own prison? Because I think I'm inside of it and can't get out. That's why the Course calls it a prison. I'm in this body. It looks like if I got out of it, I think I'd freak out. I think I'd stay in it. You know what I'm saying? You know. And I love that. It said invisible beings, our higher invisible teachers, could appear before us, but it would freak us out. And so as long as it would frighten us, they give us their thoughts. I thought that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Working my way around.
I really love the part that says recognizing fear is not enough to escape from it. I still need the Holy Spirit to reinterpret the fear into truth.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Y'all hear that?
And also from that, I heard it's important if I want to demonstrate love, and if I want to be a demonstrator for love, then I need to answer that call for love. I can't just be like, oh, I hear it. That's good for you. Like, I'm glad you have call for love. It's my duty to also answer that, and how I do that is to remember the truth for them.
That's right. And I remember the truth for them, and then and also the Course says you ask the Creator what to say, and even if you should say anything. See, that's the other thing. Thank you. I'm working my way on up. Okay. Audrey, I'm not. Yes, darling. What is it? and say it loud, sisters, so they can pick it up online.
What I heard, the most important thing that I heard today is the call for help. And everything that irritates us, everything that brings us unease, that's a call for help.
That's a call for help.
And recognizing those calls for help is very important. Now, sometimes it's difficult to really get that call for help, because it takes time for you to react. It's a call for help, so your first reaction is to.
That's right. That's right. Readiness, here's another one you want to put on the wall somewhere. Readiness is not mastery. Just because you're ready to be more loving and more sane doesn't mean you are. Right. So be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself if you still have grievances about the person that took your nickel in the 4th grade. Doesn't mean you hold on to things. Okay.
So I am a God baby surrounded by other God babies.
That's right. Somebody needs to change us.
Wow.
We God babies that need
We've
changing.
been sitting in our shit too long.
That's right. We've been sitting in our poop too long. That's right. I know it's fertilizer, but good God. Okay, here you go.
Or just wanted to comment on your performance. I have friends who do Toastmasters, which is like poetry slam. So it was interesting when you got animated and made noises and talked in third person and clapped your hands. So I think, and it's admirable that you're sharing your story with us about your feelings. So I think that's a good thumbs up for Toastmaster performance.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, black man in the corner.
Yes, black man.
His name is Samola.
You better listen.
Yeah, you better listen.
That was just my call too. Yeah, you go to
It says, for fear is a call for love in unconscious recognition of what has been denied. So whenever I'm fearful, it's basically an unconscious recognition of what's inside of me that I'm projecting towards somebody else.
And what I'm denying.
What I'm denying and, failing to want to see.
Right.
In another's call for love.
Right. Yeah. That's what's so cool. Now we know what fear is. That's what's so cool.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Right? Yes.
So when you said one day, I hope I'll treat myself like I treat you guys, isn't that your choice how you treat yourself?
Absolutely, and that's what's giving me hope. That's right. That's right. And so that's because I couldn't have said that until I was ready to change my mind. See, that's the thing. So absolutely, you're right. Oh, okay.
If I want humor, give humor.
If I want humor, give humor. Course in Miracles says we got here because we had a joke and we got to laugh. We didn't laugh enough. We're here. Okay?
What's missing is we just aren't loving each other.
But that's what's missing. And the Course says we don't know what it is. So we have to learn what it isn't in order to know what it is. I said, that's deep. He says, yeah, you all need to learn what love isn't. You think you need to learn what love is. He said, no, you need to learn that love isn't attack, isn't guilt, isn't sacrifice, isn't harm. You say, that's what y'all need to understand, because y'all have all that stuff going on, and you, in the same breath, say that person loves you. The same breath, you say that person loves you, and yet you experience anger, guilt, grievances, attack, and all. And you go, well, we love each other. No, you don't. Love is not any of those things. Love is not, in that moment, love isn't happening in that moment. Yes, darling.
2 online. So Kathy says her takeaway is that if she's afraid, she must have forgotten love for an instant. And that it's just a reminder to love. And Lachey said, I do not need to be in dire straits in order to apply truth.
I don't have to be in a dire strait to apply the truth.
Yeah.
So everything is what? Love or a call for love. Let's acknowledge us. Thanks for sticking around a little bit longer than usual. This is a great chapter that I'm going to be going through. It's one of the most important ones in the book. So go ahead and be reading ahead on the judgment of the Holy Spirit in chapter 12. You'll be glad you did. Hugs are available, and I love you.
Love you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sunshine.
Love you.